get our content warning out, and then I'll go ahead into player introductions, player/character introductions. We'll talk about Charlotte's fantastic social media at Foxfire22, FYRE, where you should totally follow her because we want to get her to 900 followers for reasons. And then she'll show Sweet Ink, which is pretty metal in my mind.
Yeah.
Greetings, Kindred. The following recording takes place in the world of darkness and explores narratives of personal horror. My favorite. This story is a work of fiction and is not official World of Darkness material. Many of the themes are portrayed from a place of empathy, but may be uncomfortable to some listeners. Episodes may contain coarse language, sexual content, mental and emotional abuse, violence, mental illness, and lots of blood. Listener discretion and viewer discretion is advised. Portions of the materials are copyrights and trademarks of Paradox Interactive AB and are used with permission. All rights reserved. Suing. For more information, please visit theworldofdarkness.com. Thank you for listening and watching to Milwaukee by Night. We hope you have enjoyed the story thus far and invite you to like, follow, and subscribe to the podcast and to the YouTube channel on your favorite podcast player. By doing this, you will help support the show and get updates when their next episode goes live. If you'd like to be part of the community, you can follow them on Twitter and join their Discord. Both of these links are in the show notes.
Of course, they can also check you out on Montgomery by Night. You have your own production. So we'll go right into our player introductions. That fantastic content warning read was done by our player of Jorvik, Joe. Joe, how's it going this evening?
Better than it was yesterday. Yesterday was a nightmare.
No, is that the main moving day happened?
That / I had to go to work.
Oh, gross. Yeah.
Then I got hit. The car got hit.
Oh,
so it damaged my equipment. So it was just Murphy's Law was just rolling down the hill. Mm-hmm. But I was like, you know what? And Jorvik will say, from the comfort of the Camarilla, that's what Annabelle would say, fuck the rich and eat them. It suck. I had to work in a country club. Let your mind deal with that.
There is a particular type of entitlement that comes from a particular level of wealth that is just something to behold if you haven't been around like truly rich folk before. Like there's own a boat and like have a cabin up north, you know, sort of like upper middle class, and then there's like country club rich, and it's a whole. If anyone's 10 out of 10 do recommend eating the rich. That is. Yes. So yeah, people can check you out on Montgomery by Night. You on Vancouver by Night. If you want to, put your social medias on blast real quick before we throw to the next intro here.
So my name is Joe, better known as DJ Toreador and Nola Fanger on Twitter. That's NOLA_Fanger, like Fangbanger from True Blood. That's where I got it from. I also run Montgomery by Night. I actually need to refresh my YouTube page so the new episodes can come in because we have been streaming a lot. Been on hiatus because I have been moving to my new place, which is behind me.
Still not time for folks to catch up on the stories.
Yes.
Perfect.
It is a terrible show of what I put my friends through by asking them to want to play Vampire the Masquerade, and they found out that I am insane. So, and devilish and cruel. And I have a lot of trauma, religious and growing up trauma that I put into vampires, and people fight them or want to kill them or objectify them, whichever.
Yeah.
But yes, you can follow me on my social media. It'll be somewhere, I guess. You can see me in Vancouver by night on Saturdays, or you can catch me on many other things like this. I've been in so many things with Gehenna Gaming and other places. I'm all around. Easy to approach. If you want to hire me or hang out, talk about tacos and lemonade, slide into my DM with spicy vampire stuff. I am okay with that.
Yeah. No, I'm a big fan of all of the above there. And speaking of spicy vampire stuff, what am I going to segue to? Scott, how's it going? You're looking spicy this evening.
My name is Scott. I'll be playing Ben Sahar, our resident Tremere trying to stay out of trouble. Although I am currently obsessed with this band, with Zeal and Arbor, and a couple other bands that I've discovered that are combinations of indie rock and black metal. And they're kind of like baby metal, and that I can't process them very well right now. I don't understand.
See, baby metal is like an assault on the senses, right? You're getting the J-pop in one ear, and then just the blast beats and and the dirty vocals.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this Zeal and Ardor band is literally if you took
Zeal and Ardor?
Zeal and Ardor.
Oh,
Zeal. Ardor as in Lord of the Rings.
Got it.
So part of the music is this African cultural not tribal, but
Pan-African
it's a lot of cultural music combined with Imagine Dragons and Norwegian black metal, and it's very because you'll be listening to this song and it sounds like just an indie rock song, and then all of a sudden they start doing this dub blast beats and all this kind of stuff and black metal, and you're
yeah, it's like when Danny Carey went over to Africa from Tool, the drummer, and he went over and he came back having just traveled around Africa and sort of learning various tribal drumming techniques to incorporate into his, and he comes back, and then we get Lateralis and 10,000 Days, which is that very
and then I also discovered a indigenous black metal band that sings a lot about it's almost like Cheyenne war songs almost, except put to black metal. I don't know. I've just been on this weird music deluge of stuff that is not what I would normally associate with each other, colliding in this very interesting sound.
What's the name of the indigenous metal band?
I can't even attempt to pronounce it.
Yeah.
I would butcher this shit out of
That's fair. That's fair.
I'm having
I recommend Hallucination. Hallucination, yeah, they are great, and that and black metal, but I'm a little biased because they're from my tribe, so
I've just been on this kick of discovering other cultures, heavy metal combinations, and it's very unique.
There's what's the they do Aboriginal or whatever and metal from Australia, New Zealand.
Alien Weaponry, where they do songs actually in the native language of the people there.
Yeah, that one's pretty. They have pretty dope music videos too. Yeah. All right. Well, speaking of awesome, being awesome, indigenous, and metal as fuck, how's it going, Abby?
Shut. But yeah, hi, I'm Abby. I'm your local indigenous nerd, and I have a very concerning schedule. People ask me if I sleep. The answer is no, I do not. When I'm not being a creature of the night on here, you can find me on the Bird website, @EnoughOfAbby. I'm doing a lot of things. Thankfully, I'm on break for a few of them, but if you like devious doctors who experiment on plants, I would highly recommend checking out Ampersand D20s and Roll Together's Ein Mimetic Mori. It is fabulously spooky and quite hilarious. I am one of two Americans in a game with a bunch of Brits. And I may be the sole American in a game with a bunch of Brits, depending on what happens with future plans.
Oh, fun. I love the PK intent there that you just winked at. Hey, other American in the game, Abby's planning on killing you. No, it's that's pretty fantastic. I tried to catch back up on the Razor because I've shouted them out twice now in my editing with the Rainbows and Razor Blades. So trying to catch back up on some of the other stuff and like lurking in their stuff. And is that one on hiatus or two or on break right now?
They're not. I did have to pop out early at last stream, but we should be back on schedule just as normal.
Right on, right on. Yeah, so check Abby out on all that stuff and do the thing. So I did such very good segues all the way up until now. Gone. I think that was when the Adderall wore off, like that exact moment.
And speaking of the odd one out, I'm Charlotte. I am playing Sera the Lasombra, and I'm the only Canadian on this crew of Americans.
There would have been the better segue. So speaking of the only American, what's it like being the only Canadian amid a bunch of Americans? See, let's all just imagine for a moment that was the amazing segue I just did. Like that was awesome. How's it going, Charlotte?
Going well. As I said, I am Charlotte. I'm playing Sera the Lasombra. You can find me at Foxfire22. That's FOXFYRE22, where I've been really quiet the last few weeks on there. I haven't really said much. Been working on getting more of our episodes of our Milwaukee by Night podcast done up. Our most recent one went live on Monday. You can check that one out. That's Blood Politics Part 1. Yeah, I'm looking forward to getting into our game tonight. So last but not least, I'm going to hand it off to Big Papa Sal and his wayward home for... what did we say it was?
Lost
for wayward
children.
Yeah.
Wayward children.
Sal's
Wayward
home
children.
for wayward childer. Hell yeah.
Yeah, for wayward childer. Yeah.
Yeah.
Big Papa
Well,
Sal. doing the Lord's work, the Dark Lord's work, that is.
Somebody asked you. I am Ty. I am Ty. I play Salvatore, formerly of Clan Hikata, caitiff by choice, disciple to the Shadowfray tree, and greatest necromancer in Milwaukee.
I think you can rip that moniker until someone else rips it away. Nope.
Yeah.
Right. I mean that's how that.
We'll
works.
have a necromancer fight on Water Street, and that's how we'll solve it. Yeah.
Necromancer dance off. You have to bring your zombies to shamble against their zombies.
Absolutely, and we'll blast Thriller from the Escalade stereo system.
Oh my god.
And these people all do far more than I do, so I'm on Twitter, but I don't do anything. I just play games.
Speaking of doing way too much, I'm your storyteller. Look, they got it back. I am Mephisto, the magical Mr. Mephisto, if you wish. If you're not into that whole brevity thing. Or just Andrew, if you prefer. I am the storyteller for Milwaukee by Night, the host of the AOS Rantcast podcast, and which is currently on hiatus. I'm taking a break from that to get caught up on just like 1,000 hours of content that I haven't released for my own podcast, because we had this charity stream business going on instead, and I had to. It was all hands on deck for me for that, so I had to do that. We crushed that before. I've got the next 2 episodes for the Vozhd release, which doesn't matter to people who are currently watching live, that will be going out here for YouTube, which is why some of the stuff is fresh in my mind. And don't worry, Scott, I edited out my 2 verbal slips. It's all right. Your secret's still safe. But that episode is fantastic. I'm going to officially say that Abby, Scott, and Sam, the knowledge they gained from that session is officially active for tonight's session, because I listened back to it. It's fresh in my mind. We did have that sort of week of downtime in between previous session and the one before, so it's safe to say that during that week you did complete that assault and stuff like that. So it's no longer anachronistic. It now exists. It is canon. If you're wondering what I'm talking about, we have a YouTube channel. Well, I have a YouTube channel. But if you look for Milwaukee by Night, it's got a playlist. It'll come up. And we'll probably get transitioning some of that stuff over to Midnight Creations and get the stuff all sort of in one place, because Charlotte and I have plans on world domination via RPGs and gaming. And you're welcome to join us on that journey. So, speaking of world domination, we find ourselves this evening in Milwaukee by night. The city of Milwaukee is a haunted place. It is a city of dichotomies. It is a place ever on the edge of madness, teetering over Lake Michigan, which many Lasombra and Malkavians say is like a mirror, a dark reflection into other worlds, a place that at once calls to the beast within every kindred and the dark nightmares of all the kind that stare too long in it. Tonight the nightmares are very real for our coterie. Last week, there was a death in the family. The second in the same family. And it's about as many weeks or months, maybe it's been months, who knows. Time starts to lose its meaning with how active our coterie stays. Thompson, Pixie's sire, met his unanticipated end. From the muted Sera, from a less anticipated source. Sera, the recently embraced, and I think we've begun to learn that, she may just be Lasombra, especially having learned her sire's name, and we will go on tonight to, I think, explore just a little bit before that aforementioned nightmare of a Bloodhunt, a Kindred's worst nightmare, if you're on the wrong side of it, gets called. The events of last week were pointing toward the Malkavian Cass. The player Sam is not with us so far this evening and may join us later on, I'm not certain. But we're going to roll forward. I'm going to anticipate him not being here just for simplicity's sake. But shout out to Sam. Cass being the one implied on the sort of docket for the Bloodhunt. The Coterie has a plan to help Cass go to ground by tapping Salvatore's shadow mommy. Are we officially calling her?
Friend, please.
Broke the kayfabe right there. I was doing so
Mommy.
great with that intro, and I immediately went back to being Mephisto and not. I was doing so good. Abigail Winters, the Lasombra from Chicago, with some interesting ties that we may explore a little bit this evening. I kind of tipped some of my cards to Charlotte sort of off screen as I was talking about some of my inspirations for the character. So maybe we'll get to explore some of that tonight. Who knows? Point being, Salvatore sort of was asked a favor. Abigail Winters said, Ms. Winters, as it were, said, as the crow flies, or something ominous. And true to form, a crow made of pure sort of primordial shadow sort of perches atop the streetlight at the end of the alleyway we currently find ourselves in as the final remnants of Thompson's ashes get carried in a swirl of wind out into the moonlight and the overcast night that sort of blocks it from lighting up the alleyway the way you might expect. Now, Sera holds one of these hand axes still in her hand, and we have Pixie sort of crumpling in Speak of the Devil.
Hey, everybody.
In Cass's arms. The cameras will hopefully correct themselves as soon as he turns his camera on. Crumpling sort of in Cass's arms, feeling a swirl of emotions. One, freedom from a blood bond she has known her entire unlife. Everyone in the right place.
No. Sam is not in the right place.
He's also
Sam
changed
screams.
his scenery.
Yeah.
Yeah, my video card on my desktop took a crap, so I'm on my laptop.
It's weird
Oh.
because you're so very loud.
Oh.
You're
I
well
had,
lit.
I had to turn you down. Yeah. Yeah. Look at those. Note that, like, note how like he's just like basking in light, and yet those eyes, those dark, mysterious, steely eyes, still like no amount of lighting in that room will illuminate them.
They just absorb it, yeah.
Yeah. So, Pixie, you just caught us in the middle of the recap, so perfect timing. Just describing, in fact, that Pixie has sort of collapsed into Cass's arm at the death of Thompson, feeling, yes, freedom from this blood bond she's sort of known her entire unlife, but also a swirl of other conflicting emotions. She's essentially just got that methadone, like, shock into the system. Of having a blood bond sort of immediately terminated, and that comes with some consequences. Now, I'm going to just trust Abby to sort of RP through it for her character. I don't think we need to have much in a mechanical sense beyond maybe some distraction if something specific comes up or whatever. But you have this swirl of emotions, Pixie. Again, there's freedom there. You feel it. But it is sort of like a rapid detox. And so you are feeling that moment of clarity, that moment of sobriety after one really, really, really long night of being fucked up.
It's like being thrown into an abyss. That is the freedom of just cold, cutting, open air. And if I could draw breath, Pixie would be gasping right now. The loneliness is setting in. That string that was pulling me. The moment I realize that he's gone, when that bond severs, something in myself does too. And I stop fighting. Pixie is just... The only expression I could think to use is hollow, as she weakly grips onto Sam's arms, looking at the pile of ash that used to be her sire, and her own beaded necklace.
Yeah, gripping in her hand her beaded necklace, kind of like right now it's almost become a tether. This reaches back further than Thompson. This is something that tethers you to your life. Good or bad for any kindred you ask. They're all going to have a varying answer. But in this moment, as recently embraced as Pixie is, it feels like a strong tether, and she remembers her grandma's voice, kind of like where it overlapped with Athena's in the music on the way over here from Jorvik's vehicle. She maybe even like hears like, you know, some like adolescent song or lullaby or something that a grandmother or mother or something like that may have sang to her. Perhaps something indigenous, I'm not certain. Don't wish to assume. And it's just, there's something there that you have this one tether. You are surrounded beyond that by, like you said, this abyss, this tar. It's palpable, it's physical. You can feel it pressing on your skin. And being recent kindred, you do gasp. You do breathe in. Kindred can will themselves to breathe, and you find yourself just almost, you can feel that sort of tar in your lungs with each oppressive breath.
Instinctive panic attack of being alone. Utterly alone. And I have no idea what I'm going to do.
The entire Coterie witnesses this, and Jorvik, you're certainly included in that. Ben Sahar, your eyes are on that war ghoul that Salvatore's like sort of, you know, dragging behind him into the alleyway, and he's like sort of like let it drop down type thing. It's one claw still skittered back where it got chopped off, but it's there, and we really sort of got to see a shadow play of how, just to keep us on pace last week, of Salvatore fighting it. I'd imagine Ben Sahar was actually there with it, and I had written you out of the scene because kid stuff, but I'd like to do a real quick retcon, and it was Ben Sahar and Salvatore that fought the war ghoul. So you're entering the scene. You have seen Salvatore's sort of protean form run rampant, and you're the only one to see it beyond the shadows on the wall. Ben Sahar has just learned another secret. the tree is doing something to not just Salvatore, like in a spiritual sense. It's doing something to his blood, his disciplines, his lineage.
Interesting.
Take a purposeful drink of my Jason Carl juice there. Sarah still holds one of these axes. Jorvik has the other hand axe available, and was it Philip has the duffel bag with the larger, the full sized axe in it there. That crow has landed at the end of the alleyway from Abigail Winters. Pure primordial shadow. It, in a quick flap of its wings, it moves an unnatural amount of distance, and like a shadow, it seems to stretch out more than it does take off. And it sort of stretches toward you, and then the rest of the shadow catches up, and it sort of bursts onto one of the garages, the sort of back wall of a garage in this alleyway, across with an address. Like a sort of makeshift shadow graffiti.
That is a safe house that we can take you to, Cass. You'll be out of the way there for at least a short time.
Not a bad idea. Lay low. Where is this place?
Yeah, what part of town is the address? Or is it familiar? Or
It's in West Dallas.
it's just outside the city, West Dallas.
Well, inside is important. West Dallas, Milwaukee.
It's weird, yeah.
Crescents around West Dallas, and if you've looked at maps of Milwaukee recently, there were some annexations, and West Dallas looks like a weird sort of oblong star shape. For anyone who wants to know, something Ben Sahar probably stumbled across in some searching into city records. That's assumed to have been done. Ben Sahar's reason for being in the city was looking into a lot of this stuff.
I requested a favor from a friend.
Did she know you were going to be here?
She, usually can find me.
Oh, that's weird.
Isn't
Uh,
It's like a clingy, needy girlfriend you have there, Sal.
Can you trust her?
I do.
I don't know about this, Sal.
Last time Cass went to some random person's house that was attached to his coterie, he got attacked.
I will be going with you there.
All right, you both can get attacked.
All right, I feel better. I feel better with knowing a comrade's by my side. I think we had enough ashes to ashes and dust to dust for one night.
If the Bloodhunt has been called, others will come.
Well, I got more of these puppies.
Got a few clips on you. I mean, an account that Cass never really travels without some amount of explosives. In their inert form, they have to be rigged up, right? You don't leave a lot of extra pockets for, bringing the full storehouse of clips and stuff like that, but you've got a few more clips for a few more rounds of combat, and then you're shooting blanks. But Jorvik, as we about to sort of transition to Abigail Winters. Abigail Winters is someone you're familiar with from your days in Chicago. You knew her by a different name much longer ago, though, and that's a secret you keep from this coterie. But since I have you on screen, I don't mind letting the party know, the players know, that you knew her from her days as a sailor. Well, a freelance journeyer of sorts, transport, cargo, rarefied goods, often sticking the thorn in various imperialist sides. But you knew her as Regina Corazon, or Captain Corazon. She used to keep her hair different back then, too. You ran back into her in Chicago, and you had probably, I don't know when Jorvik got off the seas himself or gave up the occupation, the sort of occupation of Viking ship or whatever. But you'd have never not been abreast of sort of like those sailorly ways, and that's sort of like the height of piracy in the East India Trading Company and stuff like that. That's where Captain Corazon and her ship, the Winterheart, had their greatest reputation. Now, the greatest sort of thing she ever did is the annals of history have long forgotten a ship called the Winterheart and a Captain Corazon. Sometimes there's talk of her father, maybe in a couple texts that she couldn't scrub, but you knew her by that other name. And again, maybe it's a boons in play that you keep her secret to this day. But you know her in Chicago as Abigail Winters. She is an ambitious woman. But fair. Ruthless. Truly ruthless. But fair. Nobody ever walked the planks off of Captain Corazon's Winterheart that didn't deserve it. One way or another.
Which is why we're friends.
So when they have this conversation about Abigail Winter, you sort of like have that sort of like, pool of memories kind of wash over you as you maybe even you helped her on a raid one time where she's like, okay, I'm gonna need 2 ships for this. What's it gonna take? Type thing.
Did.
And you'll remember that she was particularly adept with a saw-bladed cutlass and a parrying dagger.
Well, I noticed them all looking at this shadow graffiti.
Yeah, and you see that sort of the axe that is currently in Sarah's hand. She has one of 2. She is wielding the one named Hina, which means moon in a particular tongue, an older tongue from your day. You currently have Grian, which is in the Gallic tongue, on you yet. But there's the way that axe sort of catches almost pulls the moonlight out from behind the overcast. It looks good in Sarah's hand. And Grian doesn't like being away from Hina too much.
I will... Let me... Flush of life. Right, I gain 1 hunger. Heal. It's been a while. Jorvik will take the other axe. He will just not throw it at anybody, but try to hit it into the building right above their head.
It kind of strikes beside Sarah, right? Is that what I get? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Grian is a particularly light axe. It has they have their sort of like iconography from their various like the tribes or whatever that you would have encountered on your journeys and stuff like that. Again, one being like Gallic and one being like sort of like Swahilan or sort of like a tribal Africa type thing like that, right? There was a bad term that I think Moors is like they just kind of like threw it around to like mean a bunch of people, like a blanket term, but it was a very diverse group of folks, right? So imagine that colonizers like scrubbing away everyone's identity into like weird blanket terms. That never happens.
Right.
But they were the Axis almost have a soul, and when they found each other, they just stuck together across continents, type thing. And since they came into your possession, they've never been apart. And like I said, the moon, Hina catches the moon particularly well in Sera's hand, and you lob Soul, Grianne, and you look at Sera.
Those are yours, my child, if you'd like. Good job.
I would very much like, but I can't accept these.
You don't have a choice. They are yours. They seemed to be drawn to you. So what is it my honor to pass them on?
I don't know what to say, other than thank you.
Of course. And is Pixie kind of like in their feelings right now?
She's catatonic. You know, like when you like make a loud noise around a hamster? It's that right now.
He will kind of leisurely stroll up to Pixie and kind of like dad hug, and he's warm.
Oh, that's what you blush of life earlier. That's why you gained a hunger. That's adorable. Sorry.
And he will say, it must have been very painful for you. If you need somewhere to go or stay, you're more than welcome to come to the building. I have a room for you, and board, for charge.
Thank you. I need time to think. I don't know. It's all too much right now. I thank you, Jorvik, really. And she just puts her head in her hands.
Oh, well, also, Philip had me. We looked up poggers, like I told you before, and this came up. So I bought it. It might have been in my pocket this time. So I assume you kind of like turn around, look, show you this squid.
Yeah, like her face comes out of her hands. Oh my
god! I assume you were feeling.
Strange sorcery has been so hard taught you.
What? I thought it was cute. We picked it up from the store. Well, he had it. Yeah.
This that is pretty poggers. Yeah.
Again, you're welcome to come by anytime you'd like to clear your mind.
I might just take you up on that offer.
That's perfectly fine. So I will say here to the Coterie, I didn't see shit. Okay. The offer is extended to you as well. You are young and apparently sireless. Need some guidance, and I would not be at the bottom. I don't know if that's the right thing to say. To show you ways of kindred life, since you are so young.
Jorvik, you got your work cut out for you, because every one of these people has daddy issues with their sire, except for me.
You know,
don't even shake your head, Cass. You don't even know who your sire is.
I've been called daddy quite a few times in my life, as well as on life, so it doesn't really matter.
I live in constant disappointment of my Coterie's sires.
Constant disappointment?
And you haven't even met mine yet.
Oh, yes, I did.
No.
Oh.
I was in Chicago a little while back, remember? We talked about this.
I was unaware you knew Carlo.
Well, my sire has long since met the final death. Well, recently. Want to spoil? Oh, it's been a long time. He's been gone for a while. But, yes, so all of you have daddy issues, is what you're saying.
So
I guess
many.
that's the term for it.
And, oh, you are Cass, correct?
Yeah. Yeah.
You're the one that we rescue you, or?
Hey, you're the cavalry. You came in at the last minute, but much appreciated.
Forgive me, my manners. I am Jorvik Hammercrash. Pleasure to make your acquaintance.
All right, Cass will take Jorvik's hand.
Oh,
Say you're
Back me
pretty
off.
old. You've been around a while. Why haven't I heard of you?
I'm usually very quiet. Try to stay under the radar. It's worked out for me pretty well since I've since I've reawoken.
Oh, you're in the long sleep for a bit. I gotcha.
Yeah, I was. Yeah. I will say Jorvik is 6'6", all black guy with these dreads. They're down, but like the sides of his head are shaved. But he's like tall.
Cass is
Oh.
definitely looking up a little bit.
Oh, what happened? You injured?
I managed to heal a bunch of that myself. Thanks, courtesy of the snack that was along for the ride. Speaking of which, there's a torpor Nazi back at the place.
Francis's, yeah.
Yeah, Francis.
Really?
Francis, was he in there?
I didn't see him, little bat. I don't know.
Fuck. I hope he didn't do anything to him. I don't
Yeah,
think he wanted me to ghoul him or kill him or something.
Is he a friend of yours?
Yes, yeah, he was. He reminds me of someone I knew in another life. He's been my only friend in Milwaukee till I met this bunch.
Oh, which place is he in at? Cass? Is it Cass? Is Cassius? Just Cass. Just Cass.
Just Cass. I don't know any. I don't remember any other. I don't remember going by anything else. I'm sure I did at some point.
What are you?
What do you mean?
Is he?
What is your clan?
I'm a Malkavian.
A child of Malkov.
Stop sign. No Caden joke.
Okay.
See, it's from send me a sign, and then the sign they get is a sign that says stop.
So are you dating?
What?
You dating? Are you married?
What?
X is just stifling a giggle. It's the most lousy sound she's made.
No and no. That's a strange question. I don't really. I don't socialize too much outside of this group.
Okay, quiet, unsocial, Malkavian. Okay, checks off about the 4 boxes out of the 6. Okay, that works.
If I was ever married, I don't remember. It's well, Castle kind of like do that to part of his head, and there's like a metal plate there. I don't always remember or see things clearly.
Ah,
Kind of comes with the territory, so I might space out sometime.
that's perfectly fine.
Jorvik is old enough, Ben Sahar old enough. They have a rough understanding of this, and possibly even Salvatore. The coterie abroad, if you wonder if your character would know or not, you could certainly roll intelligence occult to understand what I'm about to say. Malkavians tend to be when a Malkavian embraces another Malkavian, they often see some touch of dysfunction in the kind they embrace. Sort of, you can't visibly necessarily see like the metal plate in Cass's head, but you could probably see like the surgery scar or the scar of the wound that inflicted it from probably some shrapnel or an explosion gone awry. A blast that was supposed to be controlled and wasn't. You'll note one of Cass's sort of like, if Cass had a catchphrase, as Ben Zahar, as Scott sort of started alluding to in episode 20, which I just finished editing and will go live or go on YouTube tomorrow. It would be a controlled blast, or explosives are supposed to be controlled blasts. It wouldn't be too much of a leap for Jorvik or Ben Zahar with this light understanding to get that whichever Malkavian embraced Cass probably was aware of some sort of damage there. And it, again, when you're Malkavian, it sort of enhances whatever riff you're tripping in life. You know, Malkavians favor themselves as visionaries or seers of sorts, and it's not, it's that classic, the line between insanity and truth thing. Whatever it is that happens to the immortal to have them glean some cosmic truth they're not supposed to see, whether it's madness in life, trauma, whatever it is, it calls to Malkov's blood.
Maybe I can fix him of cleanser. I can make him worse.
Yeah. And that's the thing is, so rarely, depending on your definition of fixed, does the blood of Malkov make these conditions better. When you ghoul somebody, it heals them. And it's the defects of the physicality that Nosferatu have enhanced about them. It's the opposite side of the coin for Malkavians and their mental health. What's inside them.
See.
The other part of this amazing triangle, of course, is Misi, who tried to make their inward beauty outward.
So, Jorvik, as much fun as this is to talk to you guys all right now, should we go somewhere else and not stand in the middle of a destroyed neighborhood?
Absolutely.
We just had a bunch of guns going off.
Yeah,
We need to get this to
so.
Decker before he finds out.
Well,
you want to go to Decker tonight?
Well, the night is young. And Abigail Winters says, well, I mean, if we want, we can do a nightly skip. It's really on the party and how urgent you feel it is. But the main thing is to get cast to Abigail Winters. And I am going to, for the first time, grab the reins here. You're not getting to split the party tonight, everybody. Sorry. You all go. Where one goes, you all go.
Make sure we get the torpor Nazi, too. Don't forget that.
Well, and what do we do with this pile of whatever it is that Sal and Ben have been dragging with them?
We keep the head and I get rid of the rest.
You got a storage space?
Why would you get rid of the rest? You're missing an opportunity to make another one of your tree zombies. Bad Lorax. Bad Lorax.
Bad Lorax.
This one won't fit in a suit.
That just turned me onto that movie.
Get a bigger suit.
Imagine
As somebody
this,
who
like,
is
whole
6'6",
team,
you
like,
just find bigger clothes.
fucked up Hellboy, the Jacob's Ladder sculpture in a fucking, like, tailored suit. Oh, it'd be so metal. What would you name
So
it?
are there ashes on
Sal will turn to Jimmy, who's in the car, and say, "Have
Yeah.
it brought to the butcher."
Oh, yeah, no problem. He gets out. Oh shit, this thing's heavy, and he's like throwing it in the back of the Escalade. He has to call upon the power of your blood to help to pick it up a little. To Surge.
Do we need to take a souvenir from this scene to show Decker when we make our way to him?
The hand's still just like severed separately. That's from the flavor text of the last scene, the claw.
Use the hand then.
Yeah, that's super. Yeah. I mean, it's I use the term hand loosely. It's like
Like this monstrous, like, claw.
The appendage.
Yeah, and it's again the very telltale signs of this sort of like almost petrified flesh that like gets discolored and you can see like the blood sort of rushes to like wherever the tips are the hardest, and it starts to turn sort of like a necrotic black red.
We can keep the torpid one in my storage space. We're of the same clan. I should know what they're doing. Won't get past me.
I agree.
Nothing gets by Abby's security.
Pixies.
Anything
security.
else?
Pixes. Pixies. Stabbies.
Anything
Stabby.
else anybody wants to do? We'll treat you all to McFlurries.
We'll get Cass situated. You can all meet Abigail if you haven't already.
I
She's
could
a
go for
treat.
McFlurry. Do they still have the
Okay.
Oreo ones?
Yes.
Let's do it.
Mint Oreo.
Like an Irish
Well, let's-
boxer or something.
As an
Jorvik,
Irishman, I
can-
condone this slur. It's amazing.
Just like the look of like Jorvik and Pixie just turning to look at Cass.
Just Jorvik's head completely Stewie Griffin just
I can't believe I just took a note that says McFlurry Irish boxer, but like a bare knuckle boxer. You know, like Brad
Very,
Pitt, like
very
Brad Pitt and
cool.
Snatch. You know, like if I got to do it for free. Like,
very good, Cass. Very good. So he's an interesting character. Yeah.
it's a character idea for later.
Mhm.
All right.
We're going?
What,
Or are
if,
we all going to have it now?
what if Conor McGregor was Brad Pitt, the McFlurry? All right. Sorry. Our GM's ADHD brain aside, the Coterie gathers in their vehicles and gets a little like bit of a sort of like a what's it called, a convoy going to Abigail's. Go ahead.
Sal will ride with someone else since Jimmy's taking the body to the
Yeah.
butcher shop.
I mean, you have to take at least the two vehicles, which is Ben Zahar's truck and then Jorvik's Audi via via Philip. The Audi's got enough space for one more in the back seat if you wish, but 3 and 3, there's a natural harmony there. So
Yeah.
3 and
We
3.
have to go to McDonald's. We have to go to McDonald's first.
Oh,
After
there's
the McFlurry.
okay. With a slight pit stop.
Mhm.
Does Ben Zahar follow Jorvik through the drive-thru for the McFlurry?
Only if they have mint Oreo McFlurries.
Luck check.
I don't do the just normal Oreo shit.
For a brief moment, they had like the
Seven.
butter the butterfinger, where it was like peanut butter cups and butterfingers.
Sal refuses on principle because it's not gelato.
Yeah, they do. They happen to have it. Is it worth searching?
So-
Is it worth using the power of the blood to enjoy this McFlurry for one sweet, sweet night?
Yes, I-
Obviously.
So that is Sera, do you want one?
No, thank you. I tried eating food the other night and no, I remember that. No, thank
You
you.
have to get proper control of your blood. Anyway, I'll help you with that. Cass, do you want an Irish boxer?
serve those here?
I get 3 McFlurries, Oreo, and 1 mint chocolate, please.
Yeah, coming right up. 3 McFlurries. Is this a throwback to your Montgomery by night? Is there a code, or is it literally getting McFlurries right now?
Yeah, it
Okay.
is.
Okay. All right.
He will give his custom card out. Here's $100 for tip. Here we go. And he just start passing them out.
McDonald's really sucks as a chain store franchise. We're not allowed to take tips because they think it might help us move toward unionizing and more workers' rights.
Say yes for unionizing.
Are you using dominate?
Yes. I'm not wasting any time.
A pro-union Ventru!
Actually, here is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Here's $2,000. Spread it out throughout your entire McDonald's. Cook, everybody. Y'all get a tip. Unionizing. Put down your shackles. Have a good night.
So he ate the McFlurries. There's an extra bag discreetly passed across to Phil, the driver, as well in this exchange. And it is now canon in the future of Milwaukee by night. The North Avenue McDonald's, which is the one I used to go to personally, that's off of Hubbard, is the first unionized McDonald's in Milwaukee, possibly the entire country. I'm not sure where McDonald's isn't unionizing. So, that's canon.
We'll head on out. We'll head on out.
That was the most hilarious use of dominate I've ever seen on screen.
You hear him just.
Milwaukee did at one time have a socialist.
Nyx is licking it off her fingers. She's like dipping it in, sucking it off.
I think we might have cut it out of the podcast, but I mentioned that German immigration that sort of brought Milwaukee into the industrialized era, because it was a huge German population. They were German socialists, not the German socialist party, not that one. They were literally German socialists. And so there was a very strong workers' union, pro-union city. There's a reason so much dark money was spent in Wisconsin to bust our unions, because it was considered part of basically the heart of socialism, and in particular, workers' unions in America. Collective bargaining agreements started in Wisconsin because of all the socialists. Trivia aside, I'll cut that out of the pot. It's all right, everybody. So you, I just love Milwaukee. Rah, fight the power. So you head to Abigail Winters. You have a bit of a drive. You hop onto the highway, hit a couple of the overpasses, and by this time, every time you hear the blare and the blast of a Harley-Davidson engine and pipes, the beast stirs in each of you. It is that primal beast inside of every kindred. It drives to survive. That's the main call of the beast. Blood is survival. It frenzy, rock shrek. These are the beast fighting to survive. And in this moment, the understanding that the Bloodhunt may be on. I want everyone to roll the rouse for the evening as the beast. A little bit different from usual. Hunger comes along with it because, like I said, blood is survival. But it's a little bit of a different flavor this evening of hunger.
First Milwaukee by night roll on the new computer, and that's a success.
Metal.
Success.
So no gaining of hunger. No gaining of hunger.
Only for when I roused earlier.
It's an extra point of hunger for me.
Where's Sarah sitting right now?
2.
Okay, that's the fun amount. 2 is the fun amount. Just let me get it real quick. So Sarah, we got, and I was looking into, I heard on Reddit that there's a tracker for the party hunger, and I want to get that in our overlay. So Sarah at 2 hunger. What is Cass at?
This is at 2.
2 picks.
1.
Ooh, spicy. And then Jorvik.
Jorvik is at 2 because he roused.
And then
He is at
Benzar. 1.
Ben's 1.
1. Cool. All right. A reasonable young knight in Milwaukee. Apart from that whole, axing Thompson a question he couldn't answer anymore without his head.
Good.
Jorvik will laugh. Kind of.
Yeah, the
Just makes you feel
storytelling.
sick
Yeah,
to
like
bump off
the
of
horrible
that.
joke. Yeah. Abigail Winters, paradoxically, or not paradoxically, or unsuspectedly, discreetly, you find her off of Holly Road. There's this part in Milwaukee I absolutely adore, where you're coming down the road and it bends one way, and you see a residential area, thriving, suburban, decent. And then it turns, and the other way you see just urban decay and the skeletons of the industry that left Milwaukee on the other side of the road. It is if you ever drive it and you're in late at night, like we find our Coterie right now, it is an out of body experience if you pay attention. You look to one side, there is no more perfect a visual metaphor for Milwaukee than that curve on Holly Road. And then a little bit further down, you get off this off ramp, and you're spit into the heart of a pure residential area. Like it spits you onto residential streets, and then there's just this highway built above and around, like a fence, just keeping West Allis partitioned off. There's a little Cajun joint is about the main thing of note here, and an old empty like Sears that's got buildings that can't stay open apart from like a Burlington coat factory and then a little college technical campus and a few mom and pop restaurants. But the main thing of note in Holly, or off of Holly Road, is actually a really decent Cajun joint and State Fair Park. And so in this unassuming neighborhood is where we find Abigail Winters has given you an address to help Cass lay low. Now, this is probably not where Abigail Winters herself is staying, but as far as discrete locations go, as far as quiet, as far as remote, but still connected to Milwaukee, good choice. Discerning. Methodical. All things that Jorvik remembers of Captain Corazon. So, you wind a couple roads and you see this little yellow house. Across from, on one side of the street, it's some apartment buildings. On the other side, it's a small 2-bedroom yellow house, single story. It has technically a half story where the attic is in the basement, because most places in Milwaukee have basements. We have bad winters, so we have basements. And then like a couple more residential houses, and again, typical suburbia, quiet, good amount of trees. There's a couple parks around, and the highway seems like a distant dream. By 1, 2, 3 blocks into this residential area, it's kind of alarming how you were on the highway for that stint, and it's like a void. You can't hear it here. All the kindred. There's something unsettling here too. Foreboding. Just like as you enter West Allis proper, the further you get from Milwaukee. That sense that everyone got used to when you're in Milwaukee, that blade's edge feel, that palpable just hint of anxiety, gets replaced by something else. It's hard to pin it down, but it's, like I said, it's like something's looking through you in West Dallas. Like something's staring back at you. Like you're looking for a reflection, but can't find it. Like a mirror is somewhere, and you know it. You saw it coming in. Are you the reflection? Are you on the other side of the mirror? Is this what it feels like? You pull up to the address Abigail Winters gave you. You get out of the vehicle. It's a quiet night in West Dallas. You can see up ahead the glows of some porch lights and little house parties, and we are shifting into like sort of the summer now, so that anticipation of the school kids not caring as much about the late end of the school year. You know, they're staying up a little bit later. Their parents don't care as much. They're too busy working. The blue-collar heart of Milwaukee firmly intact here in West Dallas. And for those of you who aren't familiar with Milwaukee dynamics, West Dallas is also sometimes called the Florida of Milwaukee suburbs. Just get that in your mind too. Is this what it feels like on the other side of the mirror? Is something else going on in West Dallas? Who knows? But here's this address, and you park the vehicles, and imagine like Ben maybe pulls. Who's got the body with them? I'm sorry. Is it in? Probably would be in the pickup truck. It would be in the Audi's trunk. You don't want to like drive and they can just see a body in the back of the pickup truck, right? So the Audi pulls in the driveway and Bizaad parks the truck on the street. You Philip stays back. The Coterie heads up to the door, goes to knock, and the door just opens.
Thou will step in if nobody is in the doorway.
I mean, it's your mom's house. I think you should lead.
You've not been to this location yet. You've typically met her elsewhere. One time of note on screen, it was like a literal hotel room. Like,
Hotel, yeah.
Yeah. Nothing weird happened though. Just she gave you a body bag to sleep in, is all.
Mm-hmm. It was comfortable.
Wish it was coming from her.
They're sunproof, okay? Stops the decay of the bodies.
So Sal will look at, if there's no one visible in the entryway, we'll step in and immediately kind of give a look around.
Hardwood floors greet you. They're old. The finish has long since rubbed off them, exposing little patches and blotches of raw wood in between the parts where you can still kind of see the wood grain. It would be uncomfortable to walk on this floor barefoot because you're assured to get slivers every few steps, that sort of thing. And then, your feet would squeak every few other steps where there's still just a little bit of wood grain and finish, right? It has a very short entryway, a stub of a closet with an accordion plastic door to your right, and then it opens up immediately into a living room. Well, I don't know if you'd call this a living room, but there's a couch in it. There's a busted CRT TV, 32-inch. Nightmare to move. Sitting on a meager but solid nightstand being used as a entertainment system, and you can see a VHS player sitting on the floor with its cords like entrails leading up and behind the TV, sort of like frayed and gutted all around, and you can see old cassette tapes from 1980s, just a greatest hits of 1970s, 1980s, like schlock horror flicks, right? Just like scattered about. Of note, you see Sophie's Choice, like sitting there, like the camera pans over it as if it's homage. maybe like Phantasmagoria or something like that. Like you just see, like, you know, like a horror nerds greatest hits.
No
And
Jacob's Ladder.
I've already made that reference twice tonight. No Jacob's Ladder. No Jacob's Ladder. But I see you. I see you, Scott. You know. He knows what's up.
With Jacob's Ladder.
The film Jacob's Ladder with I can't recall.
Okay, never mind.
There's a famous speech. It's actually sampled at the end of a V&V Nation song. If you're afraid of dying, you're going to see demons tearing your soul away. But if you've made your peace, then the demons are really angels, guiding you to the light. The dude who plays, his name might be fucking Sal. He owns the pizza place in Do the Right Thing, the Spike Lee joint. He's the one who gives that speech in Jacob's Ladder. I can't remember the actor's name. He always plays like an Italian heavy with a gun, quote unquote, or like a pizza store owner.
Also in The Professional, yeah.
Yeah. He's typecast, but hey, you know, gotta pay your bills. So, living room. Unassuming. Curtains, though. With the old school, like, wood panel blackouts. Blinds. And then on the other side of the living room, another stubby little hallway that turns into a bathroom, two rooms. The front of the house, sort of bedroom. You can assume you can see it would be the other half of the house in the front half that is living room and bedroom. Then you have a bedroom in the back half. The bedroom you can see it's all open. It's not open concept, but you can see everything apart from this room beside you here. You can see that bedroom sort of on the north side of the house goes straight through to a little deck on the backyard, and then just a sharp slope. How the hell does West Allis have a hill that steep? Did you drive down a hill to get here? I mean, Holly Road's kind of a hill, but like, what the hell? And there's just this hill that just kind of goes, and you can't see the end of the hill. Like, it sort of drops off the face of the earth in the backyard. And then you got the kitchen. You know, if you don't veer towards the bedrooms, you've got the kitchen. You can see an old, bad 70s tile floor. Linoleum, you know, like the really gaudy stuff. And in between it all, there's this one little door that you assume opens to go upstairs or downstairs. That separates the living room from the rest of the kitchen you can't see. It's the largest door. It's the sturdiest door in the whole place.
Place has good bones.
It's like stepping into the 70s here in terms of like the paint and the decorum, but the floor is, again, in disrepair. Probably used to have carpet over it. They pulled it up. I suppose the hardwood under it didn't take care of it, type thing, right? In classic horror movie fashion, the TV flicks on to pure static.
What did you do, Sarah?
Wasn't me.
See a crack in the glass of the television. Okay? The kind that should end this thing's life. And it's black, where the crack in the glass should be exposed and the whole tube should be compromised for an old CRT TV, and it should just be like when a light bulb busts, it doesn't work anymore, right? And you crack the side of it. Same thing should be going on here, but the whole screen has the static on it, and then it's just, you can stare into the black, this sort of pitch black, which should pull your vision inside the television screen. You should be able to see the guts of it. And it's just black. Sarah, you can see your reflection in the parts of the glass that aren't compromised. It's the first time you've seen your reflection in weeks, months, undistorted. Everybody else, you're a funhouse mirror, like you'd expect, staring in cracked glass. You see static. You see static, and you can see that sort of, you know, like when you're reflected in like an old CRT, it like bubbles and stuff, and with the cracks, it scatters your image around, and you can kind of see rough reflections of yourself sort of reverberating between the glow of the television and the sort of ambient light of the street lights outside, and maybe Philip still got the car lights on it, stuff like that. It's dim in here, but it's not dark, right?
You sure this is where she wanted to meet us, Sal? It looks like a haunted bowling alley in here.
It's a safe house. I made the assumption she might be here, but
Or it looks
mean-
like the worst ink dungeon I've ever been in.
mhm.
Yes, you feel safer now. Does this make you feel safe?
You said this place has good bones. How many bodies do you think are buried here?
I mean, at least half a dozen.
I've slept in worse. I'll tell you that.
You can watch your shows.
Do you not sleep in Egyptian cotton sheets?
Oh,
Oh,
I will check that door too. He's probably drawn to that.
they're
Sal?
sheets.
yeah.
Sal heads over towards the door. We have this little like fractal of Ben Sahar, Cass, and Jorvik sort of in a little triangle of banter. Sera, I imagine you going over to this TV to get a clearer view of yourself. And I imagine for whatever reason Pick's following you.
Most definitely. I'm bored. The adults are talking.
Yeah, Sal's hands over, like hovering over the door type thing. The adults are talking over here, and Sera, you've seen your reflection for the first time in months.
I would move to position myself more in front of it to make sure I wasn't seeing things and just kind of stare at it,
Your
eyes narrowing.
Your body physically blocks the view of the rest of the folks. They can't see the reflection anymore, and you come into focus. The static on the TV screen fogs up like smoke, blotting out the sort of light of it, eclipsing the cracks that make their way down from the hole in the sort of top left corner of it that would, you know, sort of like ricochet and lightning bolt out type thing. And as that smoke fills it up, that black hole is still there, that jagged, like a inverted mouth, you know, where the teeth go the wrong way type thing, and then there's just this hole into oblivion. Oops. And then you have the screen that is still left there. You can't see the cracks anymore as that smoke seems to fill it up. And then it sort of goes silver. And you see yourself. Hicks doesn't have a reflection at all. She's right behind you. You can feel her presence.
What watching there, Sera? I don't think the TV's on.
What do you see when you look at the TV?
Storyteller?
You see static. It's alarming because with that hole in the top left of the screen, again, the old tube style TVs shouldn't work. They pop, basically. Their inside stuff just, it doesn't work anymore.
Sera, it's broken. It shouldn't be. Look, it's, you know, it's the old vintage style. Once the screen's cracked, it's gone. I don't know what you're looking at.
It's a miracle it's on to your tech savvy perspective, but beyond that, it's
It looks like the old thing my grandma had back at her house. It shouldn't be on. Actually, I'm gonna go around behind it just to see what is wired into it. I'm curious. I do not like that smile, Andrew. I do not like that smile, but I'm gonna go behind it.
I can't say why this is working or not, but I see me.
Yeah, that's supposed
Like-
to happen, right?
No. Like, I see me.
Oh, right. The whole
Yeah.
fuck. Pix is just looking behind this thing again. If there's a fucking shadow monster powering this thing.
it's not plugged in with any cord you've ever seen. It looks more like an artery coming out the back of this TV going into the wall. The outlet has been removed off of it. The casing of the outlet has been removed. The plugs have been removed. The wiring has been gutted, save for one orange extension cord that comes up and to the side and is barely making its way around. And then there is this sort of like, if you're familiar with H.R. Giger art,
I am favorite style of art. I use it all the time for my changeling and my deviant games.
It's this like Giger-esque biomech artery in black and silver and gray and little sort of ribs and indentations that show off some sinew and stuff like that, and it goes into the wall and it goes down. And that comes out of the sort of rear of the tube of the television, where it sort of funnels itself back, and it should be like ventilated and stuff like that. It comes straight out, almost like an umbilical cord from a belly button, and just goes into that hole in the wall and goes straight down. The VHS has relatively regular wires coming off of it. They're like splayed and frayed. The casing's cracked on them, letting the little bits of extra copper and the green and yellow, or the green and the red casing, and you can see that it's sort of internal stuff just splintering and fraying all around. It almost looks like doll hair. There's so much of it. In fact, that's weird. There's so many wires coming out of the back of this VHS. You should just have a coax, maybe an AV cable if it's a relatively modern VHS, but you shouldn't have 13 cables. The fuck? And they go into, like, a couple of them go into like the standard coax, and the rest are threaded through with that cord, the main one that goes into the tube, into the TV.
Sarah, get away from that thing. Hicks is recoiling.
It takes a second or two for me to register what she says, but then I'll kind of like blink and shake my head and step to the side a little bit more.
I can assure you, darlings, it won't harm you. You hear Abigail Winter's voice. She is suddenly standing in the doorway to that sort of north bedroom that heads out into the backyard with the hill, and Sal's sort of basically perpendicular to her at the door that's in between the sort of where the place sort of fans out into its sort of four quadrants. The rest of the coterie is still mostly in the living room, with the triangle of adults near the entryway. Ben Sahar has turned to face, and y'all see Abigail Winters, or in a different lifetime, Regina Corazon.
Abigail, I believe introductions are in order.
She has met Pixie, Ben Sahar, and Cass already, I believe. She's not familiar with Sera. And
I wouldn't
y'all
know that.
don't know that
Yeah.
she's met Jorvik before. So. A pleasure to see you as always, Sal. I see a new face and an old one.
Sera, this is Abigail. Abigail, meet Sera, the newest member of our coterie.
I'll give a slight nod.
As you sort of pull away from the TV to no longer directly face it, your reflection disappears again. And worse than the rest of the party staring into the broken glass, you look into it and you see nothing. The static has dissipated, and it's only this sort of like ambient light lighting up the screen, and you can see the whole room sort of refracted, like that sort of like bug eye style, back in 100 tiny little cones and 100 tiny little angles of everybody else in the room except for you, and you wouldn't be able to see Abigail Winters from where she is off behind, but you suspect you wouldn't see her in there either. Much like you, she wears the shadows like a garment, like a cloak. You can see them sort of pull toward her. Even she keeps a cigarette like on a like a stem, Cruella de Vil style, right? You can see that like the sort of cherry of the cigarette casts some shadows and stuff like that, and they seem to pull off like their own sort of second tail of smoke. And stretch and distort around her like a twisted halo, or a crown of thorns. Difficult to tell which. It's shadows. They play tricks on the mind.
Our new friend Jorvik.
She gives you a kind of a wry smile and a little bit of a wink. We're familiar. Chicago, she says. We've met a time or two.
Oh, Regina.
Oh, Jorvik. She says something in one of the the dead languages from the seas that you all would know, that would basically be a code language, and essentially we have some catching up to do is basically what she says, but best to let that name die with that part of me.
He will respond in one of the old languages. Joy it is to see your face again. Must catch up. I will forget what I said. Also, I still have pieces of your ship and mine.
Hell of a night, she says. Hell of a night. Forced a second career, and she says the rest in plain English. Forced a bit of a second career for both of us, and she just kind of shares a laugh with Jorvik.
Look well.
Just looking between the both of them, wide-eyed.
Look well, darling.
You haven't aged a second. You glow. You're glowing. You're beautiful.
No, it's the melanin. It happens.
Mm-hmm.
How is the little son of a bitch?
Firm.
Of course.
He's his kingdom. He tends it well. I'm looking forward to seeing what he does with it, personally, but I'm, of course, here in Milwaukee as his emissary, unfortunately. Well, or fortunately, depending, I suppose, on your perspective. Are you still... And she just she doesn't say, but she literally... Are you still... and him?
Yes. Well, I don't know. You see, made me leave because he feared competition.
I suspect...
And I
Go ahead.
left. And I left.
I suspect
And
the
then-
competition PKD feared.
He proposed that he feared.
It's difficult uniting Chicago. And praxis is a threat to any crown. Something
Absolutely.
which I think we all maybe can parlay into a conversation here about Decker.
Oh,
He's called
speak.
the Bloodhunt.
Delicious.
And I'm sorry to say, you all have a very long evening ahead of you, tracking and killing Arjun Shaw.
And Shaw?
The
I thought it was for Cass.
Jorvik will start laughing. Son of a bitch. Fucking son of a bitch. Yes!
Yeah,
Yes!
what?
Yes! Yes!
Oh, there may have been more information that came to light. Didn't I tell you, darling? She looks over at Sal. Oh, it's sorry. I sometimes get ahead of myself in other ways.
So we get to kill Arjun Shaw.
You gotta find him first, I'm afraid.
Trust me, I've got access to half the security cams in the city. We'll find him.
Yeah, good luck with that. Using security cameras.
I may have.
So,
I may have some things back at my place that I could use.
I mean, it's great that we're gonna kill him. He's a fucking asshole, but why is the hunt been called on him?
He was into some interesting dealings. He called in some favors with old friends. Some of his old friends didn't have the same trajectory as him anymore. And then there was, of course, letting the Sabbat in under his watch, and Decker may be many things, a tyrant certainly amongst them, but he does not suffer the Sabbat any more than the lupine, I assure you. The man is he's a well. His depth can deceive you.
I would look to Ben. Ben, were you going to say something too?
I was going to mention, Cass, remember Mercy and Virgil that we met?
Yeah, I remember those two.
We could probably tap those two and see about a location, since they were doing some investigating of their own into their boss.
So which one was Arjun? He was there that night,
He was
right?
Yeah.
the judge, as I understand it, birds talk and all that.
Arjun.
He wanted your head, darling.
Arjun. Sarah looks lost in thought for a moment while Charlotte looks in on something.
Yes, he was there the night of your embrace.
Sal and I almost got into a fight with him twice.
Twice. It was him, Lucy, and Thompson.
Back when we were at the club, when Sal and Pixie were, I guess, coming back, wasn't he mentioned as being there on my first night?
Yes.
This is totally poggers.
I hate that word.
You know what? It is pretty poggers. Not gonna lie. I see this as, as they put it back in the 2010s, as an epic win, even.
Hashtag winning.
Hashtag winning, yeah.
I was there 3,000 years ago when overuse of epic. We did that. That was me. We were the ones. And then I just aged like I drank from the wrong cup.
So, Abigail,
You chose poorly.
Abigail, darling, what information has come about Arjun Shah has changed Decker's mind upon him? He's not salivating.
I'm afraid that a level of information might, the old exchange rate. She smiles at you.
Oh.
You both have boons back and forth, like a poker game that date back the last what was piracy, like the 1400s was like the heyday, or 1600s. I suck at time.
The heyday was
late 1600s was the golden age of piracy.
So late 1600s, 400 years of trading boons off and on between each other. It's like a poker game at this point, where at some point you're gonna ante up and go all in. And so when she says the old exchange rate, she's like, "You're gonna give me the old, our old agreed upon trade of boons type thing." So the ledger tips a little bit toward her, is what she's implying.
We owe each other quite a lot. I haven't seen you in a while.
Still, we got to keep the books balanced, darling.
You were always just
Ruthless, I believe, was the word.
ruthless, cutthroat, a bitch, whatever the people call you. I don't say that.
Little on the nose with the cutthroat thing, and she smiles. A genuine smile, by the way.
Yeah.
So that's called dramatic irony. The characters in the screen, they don't all know what's going on, but we, the players, do, because she was a pirate. Also, in this lighting, she looks a little bit like my inspiration for her, played by Gina Davis, when she played a pirate in the movie Cutthroat Island. A little bit more of a Spanish descent to her. Corazon, the family name, something like that.
I will give you, just to add to the docket, 4 minor boons.
4 minors. Wow. Cult of Mithras. Arjun Shah has dealings with the Cult of Mithras, and
Are you serious?
his intent was to help subjugate many of the Anubi, and he succeeded in many respects.
I thought they were gone when London fell.
They missed. The SI missed.
Who's the Cult of Mithras?
She looks at Ben Sahar. Care to take that one, darling?
So,
Jorvik will slowly.
Cult of Mithras is essentially a personality cult where a bunch of people worshipped an elder vampire of immeasurable age and power.
Fourth
was essentially a
generation was
walking
the rumor.
demise.
Fourth generation was the rumor. Abigail interjects. Continue, please. You're doing such a fantastic job.
I mean, to the point of he essentially met the founder of the clan. There's not very many of them. But he's of such power that most of the other organizations and groups decided that it wasn't worth ever messing with him. So as long as he did something similar to what they would do, like the traditions, they would just leave him alone. So it is a little surprising that they thought that this would be a good idea to come to America.
He's supposedly Sera of my clan. One of the oldest.
Arjun Shah is one of their chosen ones. Perhaps the chosen one. Rumor has it. Perhaps even the blood of Mithras himself runs in Arjun's veins. As I said, his ends didn't sync with the Camarillas. And temporarily, it might have been implied to Decker, I don't know from whom, that he was working with Sabat toward his ends there, or at least getting sloppy enough to where a discerning eye certainly couldn't turn away from how convenient Sabat showing up was under such a strong surveillance gaze. Of course, I don't know who would have implied any of that.
Fucker.
Or connected those dots for Decker.
I wonder who.
The important thing being Decker, again, well, deeper than you think. He didn't take convincing. The Mithras thing, she just kind of, the straw, the needle, the final piece to act on long-held suspicions from the prince. The relationship of mutual aid ended this evening, messy. And perhaps others have offered their service in Arjun's stead. Congratulations on the promotion. She looks at Salvatore and then to Pixie. Oh, nothing. You might want to meet with Decker, though, before you hunt.
I heard congratulations, so congratulations, Pixie and Salvatore.
Yeah, you
Pixie
just have
looks
to
at
find a
Sal.
potential older vampire.
Pixie just looks at Sal incredulously, like, I was not expecting this. So, Cass isn't about to die?
How would that handsome creature die?
I'm just happy we don't have to leave you here, Cass.
I mean, you still could. I was willing to show him my, what did you call it, darling? She looks at Jorvik. Dungeon?
Oh, the kink dungeon, yeah.
Nothing kinkier than shadows, my friend. Shadows
I know.
beyond
Oh,
even a son of Melkov's wildest dreams.
now you're speaking my language. I haven't. We really need to catch up. I haven't spoken to you in so long. I mean, so, quick question. You are Kevin's emissary. So what I heard was true, is that the Lasombra now in the Camarilla, the crown jewel.
It wasn't easy, darling, I assure you. And
Um,
you know me, I always considered myself independent. The Catholic Church and I never quite saw eye to eye.
Same here.
Even in my life. And to my sire's chagrin, wanting to take on enterprises, it didn't work out for him either. I'll not be ruled
Christians
by any
killed
world's...
so. Just keep popping.
You were saying, Sarah?
When Jorvik mentions Lasombra, I'm going to whip my head around to Sal. See if he meets my eyes gaze.
Yeah, Sal will look to Sarah and nod at the mention of Lasombra.
Are you just his emissary, Abigail, or are you Primogen?
No, the Primogen is... We don't see eye
Is
to
that
eye
good?
either. And I'm not interested in rulership any more than I'm
Did that
interested in being ruled.
Did that girl?
No.
Young?
That's another conversation. We'll keep Chicago by night to another time.
Abigail, I believe I've talked to you of Sarah's sire. We recently learned a name, but the clan evidently is shared with you.
This is going to be uncomfortable. I sense this is going to be uncomfortable, she says. She takes a long, labored, purposeful, on account of vampires having to will themselves to breathe and their blood to help, draw from the cigarette. I used Jarm Blacks once already, but she definitely smokes Jarm Blacks. Maybe a little too on the nose, but you can get the pinch of clove on the nose, and you can hear the crackle of the cloves as they go up in these cigarettes. Jarm Blacks, for those not familiar, are black clove cigarettes. So,
Strong shit.
look, if I'm going to potentially invoke the beast, it's going to be over something I can still taste in death. She said this is going to be uncomfortable. She looks at Sarah. You are indeed Lasombra, darling. You saw what I think you saw over there in the corner.
What was that?
A dark mirror.
Why did I see that?
A dark mirror tapped into what even the oldest among us have only ever speculated as the origins of our blood. Some don't believe it's from Cain. I have my thoughts. But that mirror, there are a few of them left. Pardon the Alice in Wonderland, or West Alice in Wonderland reference, but it's like through the looking glass, but darkly. for us. Our blood. And only our blood.
And it always works.
The dark mirrors always work on us. And only. I'm not bold enough to tempt it in other ways. But it's nice to be reminded of who you are. I thought you could use it. So I moved it here.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Which comes to a question you want to ask me. Now come now, darling. I'm a kindred, not a senator.
We found a name. The name was Aaron. Does that ring a bell to you?
Silas?
Yes.
My child. I thought he was dead.
Not yet.
Both parts, she says, looking over at you. He is still... He was a free spirit when I met him. Found the life exhilarating. Spray of the sea, even the darkest nights in the ocean. If you can imagine, just you in a ship, before all this, before electricity. Just the stars above, crackling on the waves. And you stare into the pitch, in the middle of the sea. Some people get horrified, but others feel alive. I felt alive. I felt that even after my embrace. I thought he felt it too. Like a son to me. Brother I'd never had. The son my father always wished I was.
When was the last time you saw him?
Before I came to America. 100 years ago or so.
You didn't know that he was here in the city?
I thought he was dead. I'd heard whispers, but I thought he was dead. Her expression is earnest enough.
So safe to assume that you've been far enough removed to not know his mind anymore or his motivation.
We had a falling out a while ago. As I said, when I stared into the sea, the true depths, I felt alive and he felt it stare back. He stayed with our clan, rejected my message of independence. And he helped the church, the Sabbath. He had his reasons. I don't fault him them. But they were not mine. And we lost touch, and as kindred do who are very old, ran into each other in unlikely places, on the wrong sides of wars fought long before us. And I put fire. She takes a pull from her cigarette again, this one longer than the one before. She blows the smoke out in the room. I saw his ashes. I guess I saw ashes. Our blood carries a curse unique to our clan, as all clans do. She looks to the axe, like, one, or maybe both, like in like the little hip bag. It's got like the perfect little slot for at least one of them, right? Something I suspect you felt calling to you lately. It only gets stronger, my dear. This is the first time she's not said darling, by the way.
Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about.
It is part of you. Best not to run away from it. Best to learn to harness it.
In that vein, any tips on how to find them?
Where else, darling? On a boat. Here, tell Milwaukee's got a pretty big body of water around these parts.
Pixie's mind immediately goes to Lake Elizabeth. Lake Emily, Elizabeth. I mixed them up for the names. Pixie's mind immediately goes to Lake Emily, I should say.
Know that I feel I can't, again, I can't. The moment you said his name, I knew the whispers were true. This weight, this gravity well in my stomach. I can't again.
Can't
But
what? Lose him again?
No. Be the one that stops him. And he should be stopped.
You don't have to worry about that.
We all have complex feelings regarding our sires. Perhaps yours are uncomplicated. It certainly were with me.
Well, when somebody's not around when things first happen, and I'm left to find other parentage.
If I may, darling, your story was the opposite of his. I taught Silas everything, and it didn't keep him away from his path. Perhaps the best thing my bastard child ever did was abandon you, because you found better people than me or anybody else to raise you. Your path found you. I tried to teach Silas, and if he had tried to teach you, who knows where you end up. Maybe without that inherent, I don't know. But this is boring me. We can't linger on the past forever. I bear you no ill will. Deal with your sire as you will. I already killed him once, and he will remain dead in my mind.
If there's anything that you learn about him in the next few nights, would you be willing to pass that information on to myself, or at least Sal?
She looks at Jorvik. I'm going to have to start you an account, darling.
And why is that?
Tough love. Cranma's tough love. Boons, darling. They're our currency.
I know.
I don't want anyone else incurring any debts on my behalf. If it's
Oh,
a no,
no.
it's a no.
No. I was saying you can start an account. One minor. The discounted rate. Family discount, we'll call it. The guidance.
Agreed.
The guidance in Oblivion. Mentorship. Helping you with those blades. That is my duty to teach another proper Lasombra woman. I looked into you when I heard of your embrace from Sal. Civil rights. The Glamazons. Quaint name. You're a warrior. Let's teach you to fight like one.
Sera, if I may interject, I say take the boon. I can teach you as much as I can about kindred life and society. I mean, I've been around for quite a bit. I cannot teach you the ways of a shadow dancer.
All right. So do I have to call you Grandma now, or?
Please don't, darling. I'm not that old. I look marvelous if I'm being quite frank for 500.
I mean,
Thinking of you. Thinking of you.
A real. Is this one in your journal, Jorvik? Do you still keep that old thing?
Yes, I do.
Gilf, is that one in there?
He'll reach into his coat and pick out this thick thing that looks very weathered and worn, and the paper is like vellum. It's old, and yes, it's still in there.
You have a Bloodhunt, and I'm afraid as an emissary, an ambassador, it might harm relations with Milwaukee if I were to go hands-on on this one. You must understand. But, again, the boon, we'll consider that for the information. I'll teach you to fight out of responsibility.
He's a good fighter. He's good on the seas, too.
Better than you on the seas. You have the advantage on land.
Let's not go down that road again.
It was 2 ships. 2 ships.
And
it would have been just fine, darling. Just fine.
You just can't let that go, can you?
It's in the past.
It is in the past.
It's in the past.
He'll pull out that notebook again, not the one that Pixie has seen. Are you salty about that still?
She lets out a single gut laugh. Just, ha! Like the sea, darling. Like the sea.
Got it. You got it. Yeah.
While they're talking like that, I'll pull my
they're-
4 companions off the side. So how do we find this asshole?
Look, I said I have security cams, but after mentioning that cult thing, I know it was, what was it, Ben? Cult of Isis, something like that, around the park? Might be a good idea to look there, but I can run checks on most places.
So you had the cameras, and Ben mentioned...
And it's a good time for Ben Zahar to jump in. You're muted.
We met with some people that work for Arjun Shah that are friends of mine from a couple years ago. They were also looking into him.
Now I can
Looking
put
into
out
him
some.
how?
Oh, you're bantering with Abigail still.
I mean, the cult devices I think would be a really difficult match, seeing as they're mages. Cameras and stuff may not be much good there.
Salvatore's been quiet a moment.
I have something I might be able to have sniff him out. I just have to get back home to my altar.
Or that spooky
So-
botany shit, right?
The spirit of a lupine.
Oh.
Caius. And I'll reach into my coat pocket where I have the bracelet.
Yeah. Caius is charm bracelet or whatever. It's got this amber sort of perfect sphere of amber clasped in a like a silver claw, or not silver. It's not silver, but we went over that last time.
Oh, you also have the new thing that Jimmy took to the meat shop that could also help too. Turns out that thing has a soul too, even if it's a little ugly.
And I will draw it forth and send them both on the hunt.
You
So
also
we
might
have-
be able to ask Dusty.
Mhm.
Too soon, Abby? Too soon, Pix?
bit.
Little Dusty.
Give me a day to think about it. Then we could start making jokes, Ben. But for now, we've got one motherfucker to stake through the heart.
Right, so we have three options. Cass, is there anything that you want to add?
I might be able to help find them. I might be able to connect with the network. I can't really do it at will all the time, but
In West Dallas, it's like you've been on dial-up with the network this whole time, and you get a fiber connection now, baby. Being in West Dallas, like I said, that through the mirror darkly. Yeah, wow, there's like a clarity to it. You can practically see the thoughts and the dreams sort of like flitting through the air every now and then. Like one might see an aurora borealis. You see these sort of like vapor waves of thought.
got Bora West Dallas.
Localized here in this living room?
It's outside. It's outside, but it's over West Dallas.
Yeah, don't you have like an acquaintance that lives in this area that we've seen before at some point?
So Cass, in a prologue episode, maybe it occurs to you, that was Scott, not Ben, saying that, because I don't think Ben Sahar would know. Maybe Ben Sahar would know with like an investigation role of sufficient difficulty. Maybe Ben Sahar's heard of the text. I don't know if anyone else has yet. Once upon a time, you met a Primogen here in West Dallas, a Malkavian. He thought he was the biblical Jacob. He might very well have been. He was around. His place wasn't actually too far from here. There's actually a bar like four or so blocks that way. Is exactly where you met him. And the rabbit. A little too heavy-handed with the Alice in Wonderland, West Alice in Wonderland metaphors, maybe. A little too heavy-handed. Drove a Volkswagen Rabbit. It was white. Come on, white rabbit. Okay, all right. I'm done. Tiring for the evening. All right, everybody.
I don't know. The minute you start describing stuff, I was like, I want to yell at Sam and be like, dude, this thing that we saw a while ago.
So, Scott, you've been a little light on the RP tonight, but if you want to, here you go. Ben Zahar can have some narrative powers real quick. I just took my narrative powers, and I'm going to hand them to Ben Zahar. Maybe Ben Zahar's research about West Dallas is your hero. Maybe oh God, not again. Is Cass's dementation spreading again? Is this like the waiting room? Is suddenly you getting images of a man named Tariq and Bar and something. If you want to recount real quick, just from your perspective, just the what maybe connecting thread for the Malkavian here, as you perhaps are suddenly tapping the cobweb or the network. Something that might jar Cass's memory here.
In a time long ago, Cass met at a bar with a gangrel, Ibano Hakim, and we went on an adventure to locate a text, very emphasized text. And we had some hijinks ensue, some werewolves, and we managed to locate said text with a prophet of Cass's favorite thing of Gehenna. Does that ring a bell at all?
Yes.
Where Cass earned his nickname of, or I should say the moniker of "Don't ever let Cass drive because good things happen."
Yes.
The delivery we made was in West Ellis.
And Jacob's since gone missing.
Torpor, or the beckoning, is the word on the street. He was the former primogen of the Malkavians in Milwaukee. That was when Prince Merrick still had the city, prior to Decker. Again, the Anubi Council, or the Anubi becoming like the Primogen Council, was sort of one of those things that, like, out of necessity in wartime, we can't keep replacing Primogens who keep getting called to the beckoning or killed by lupines. So we're going to have the Anubi step in. It's supposed to be a wartime thing. It's going to help us get through war. And in true sort of police state or fascist manner, Decker never went back to the old way. He insists the war is still here, and now we've sort of went into the first adventure's pitch all over again. A nice little loop there. A lupine loop. So yeah, it occurs to Cass that West Alice is where you dropped off the text when you gleaned but 2 lines from. I think you recorded the text into like a phone book or something because it was like super 90s. It was like a 90s adventure, and you recorded it into a phone book, and you like sort of like what's it called, like automatic writing or whatever sort of style, like recorded the text into a phone book, and then like after that had been done, or no, Anatole did it. Anatole transcribed the text into the phone book, and then Cass inadvertently read from it, which is why Cass has been yet more messed up since, like more than your average Malkavian even.
As the depths rise, Athens will fall. Cass will just sort of like muse those words out loud. I think I know a bar around here.
Think it might be a good place to look?
Something tells me yes.
I mean, you always had a great sense of intuition.
Or at least an interesting one.
Yeah, intuition, let's call it that.
Sal, anything you need to say to Abigail before we sort of close the scene?
No, Sal has seen Sera kind of, find the guidance, and Lasombra, shadow dancing is what Jorvik referred to it as. So Sal's kind of taking a backseat here. This is an introduction, not a social call.
He already got the second suck a little bit ago, or whatever.
So real quick, I do have to ask Abigail something. Point at the back of the TV. When did this become normal and nobody seems bothered by this?
You're a vampire, darling. Has your life ever been normal since?
I mean, not really, but not this level of strange either.
Hell, a non-binary vampire in places like this. The power source for these things is different and unique to each. The dark mirrors don't oft work without something calling home.
Okay.
But that might be the little bit of the pot calling the kettle abyss. And she looks very knowingly at you. Or is it Nox? You've not told them yet? And she covers her one eye. I tried the eye patch for a decade or two. They never got the wanted posters quite right.
They never do.
Hair always had a little bit more of a gravitas to it. Especially when
I always get my nose wrong.
The Vatican, when they're after you, I mean, darling, can never be on the silver screen, but that was the closest the Lasombra could, I suppose. And the connection between her having a bit of a flapper girl demeanor and presentation suddenly connects the almost like a vicariousness to the, or maybe a sense of humor, like a wry sense of humor, to that sort of like Silver Age movie starlet type thing that she sort of presents herself as. And her wanted posters were her movies.
All right. So now it's time to go find Arjun Shah and hope he's not a 4th-gen vampire.
Yeah, what's the worst that could happen?
We all die horribly.
I already had
That's
that
not the
happen.
worst.
I highly doubt that.
Come on, Sal. You know that worse can happen than that.
I'm sure I can.
So, we are running out of time, I feel, for our soft out, and we're approaching our hard out. We've already surpassed our soft out. We're approaching our hard out. Salvatore wanted to do a couple quick things, like get a new ghoul going and tap into 2 resources. Before you head to the bar, we're going to let Salvatore do that in your own Thai sort of narrator sense. What does Salvatore do real quick?
Yeah, so Sal has to. This is where he would have to get to his altar. I mean, this is where.
Yeah, you take a quick detour. You go to the altar. Maybe you sleep on it and come back to the bar tomorrow night. Right.
Yeah. And he's going to summon both the spirit of that ghoul and the spirit of Caius, and prepare multiple rituals. Would have one of his attendants there if he needs to feed between, and then he would compel these spirits under threat of destroying their fetters. So Caius's bracelet, I'd imagine we have acid on hand to destroy just about anything. We get rid of bodies.
Between like 3 molar hydrochloric acid and like some lye hanging around. They're for preserving meats. It's a butcher store, right?
And threatening the fetter when Caius is summoned would then begin that battle of wills to compel Caius.
I feel like I want to start next session with you doing that.
Okay.
Because that's like pretty metal. So Sal does that. I think next week we're gonna do. You take the night off and you pick up at the bar tomorrow, because you want to be fresh, prepared, so on and so forth. Pixie, what's your preparation?
Hix is gonna go full hacker mode. She'll be going back to her haven where we've got that unconscious Nasi, and just scanning. Like, it's like that cheesy movie scene where like everything's going down the screen. She's got like multiple things. She's pulling up multiple security cameras.
Oh yeah, it's like 80s, and like it's even like we've even edited in the VHS scroll through it, like the
Yeah.
static and the tracking through it.
Pretty much
Pixie-
every camera in Milwaukee, she's gonna get into it.
hacker mode. Okay.
And
So-
she'll probably have Batty ask some local bats about Arjun.
Batty's eye from the ghoul blood shtick and healing,
Yeah.
but Batty's not off.
Batty, she can stay in my pocket.
Can
She
I
needs her
please-
rest.
Please, just let me
course.
nap a little.
These Milwaukee bats are rough. You take a nap.
It's not that. They're just. They don't. They just. They live
They're
in
fucking
the
assholes.
They live in the city. Come on, city moths. They just do something to you compared to like the good moths in like the open wilderness. Okay.
Crackheads.
Sarah, spend the rest of the evening training with Abigail, or what does Sarah do the rest of this evening?
I mean, if she's willing to stick around, sure. It'll justify the XP I just spent on 2 points of melee, so.
All right. Ben.
So I need RJ to do some shopping stuff for me because I have to feed an octopus. I do kind of want to
Feed a Cthulhu,
get
yeah.
a hold of that Nosferatu that Pix has, because I have some sweet blood magic to compel this thing to tell me the truth. So we do some old-fashioned and esoteric interrogation. Got a few other things, but I'll message you. There's like 4 or 5 things.
We'll do the Dante and I think so. Dante and Mercy is going to happen after the bar, because I mean you're going to want to tag them in for Arjun, quite frankly, and the bar is going to end up. You guys have committed to going to the bar. That is like meta plot, and not like the primary. So you're going to want to tag in Dante and Mercy for Arjun. I mean, I said once per one. I basically gave the whole coterie, in my mind, a lore sheet, a once per chronicle use of Mercy and Dante. You're basically about to use that. It's a good time to use it. Really good time to use it. So congratulations on doing the opposite of what my last long running campaign did, which is I gave them the key to the correct lock at the very beginning of the game, and they used it on the wrong one. And like it totally worked. Don't get me wrong. I like totally killed that door, but now this door over here is locked forever. And so congratulations. I gave you like a puzzle piece at the very beginning of the game, and you just used it at the correct situation. I wasn't sure. I was being purposely nebulous on who Dante was here to investigate. Like seriously, kudos. Some good thread tying up and connecting of the dots. Because it could have been Mortius. It could have been Decker himself. It could have been woo woo shit, like the lake present. It could have been anything. And Mercy could have just been working for Arjun as access to the cameras, and it could have been something else. You know what I'm saying? So I'm very rarely direct with things like that. So all right, you're gonna DM me some stuff, Cass.
Cass is drained of some willpower, so he's gonna rest up. But he would make sure Ben gets Dragonfire rounds and like anything else, all the stuff he had requested.
All right,
And he's gonna go find some bigger guns.
Your cult is still at large.
Yes.
There are some hanging threads with the Bloodhunt called on Arjun, but perhaps that waits for when you encounter Arjun. Maybe Arjun can connect some dots and some threads. Jorvik, I feel like we're running out of time with you. So, how does Jorvik luxuriate for the rest of the evening, and what are Jorvik's near future and far future plans?
Or we'll go back to technologies and securities, and he is in that time going to finish the Scooby-Doo Pepper Plantation one. We left it on that part, and then now that he and Pixie are text buddies, he's going to send like a bank routing number, and is going to say, should you need any funds to increase, do not hesitate to ask. And also for record, has Jorvik seen Arjun before?
I don't think your circles overlap. I don't know. I don't think Jorvik fucks with cultivators shit too much.
Has he seen a picture of him at least?
I mean, he's been one of the judges of the city of Milwaukee. You're familiar.
I've seen him.
Yeah.
Okay. I would like to do some rituals. Ritual.
Go ahead.
I don't know the rule for it. Roll for it. Illuminate the prey of the trail. Illuminate the trail of the prey.
It's blocked.
It's blocked. Okay. He'll just say, "Fucking bastard."
You can roll you get a crit success, and then you see the silver line begin to form as the ribbon that is soaked in blood, dissipates and stuff, and then you see it like that silver trail set ablaze and come back toward you. Powerful magics stops that kind of shit.
Really powerful.
A counter ritual of some sort. Some very specific magics. Because blood magic requires you to be specific with targets and stuff like that. And there are very rarely, apart from some warding, like bubbles of protection from things like this. You have to be pretty powerful. Or know way too much.
He will look at a relic that he has. He's been keeping for that special person. It's a crystal ball. Just kind of like play with it.
It's all right. We'll close the scene on Jorvik thinking of tapping this like ancient relic.
Okay.
We will. I don't get my moment with Philip and with Philip and Raphael.
It's okay.
I was gonna have a moment with them. I was gonna have a moment where like they were like one of them's about to die and one of them's about to save the other, and they have a moment and then you're there, and I was gonna have this whole moment where like Arjun like kind of like ganks one, or one of Arjun's lackeys does something like brutal, and
I will eat him.
But we just we indulged some RP. It took us a minute to get to where I thought we were going to go, and then I got thrown a little bit of curveball with the bar thing. I thought it was going to be like you see Arjun and then end on the drama moment with that. But if you're going to the bar first, and awesome, yeah. So Arjun Shaw will wait another week, and next week we will do some stuff that's more fun on camera in terms of like the rituals that you're about to do there, Sal, because I feel like it's been a while since we've seen Sal go full evil Lorax on screen. We've been teasing it a lot. It's time. I feel it, and I think
we don't even need a human sacrifice for these rituals, but there's gonna be one. Just
to make sure
fun.
It works. Man,
yeah,
works for fun.
Just for shits and giggles.
Yeah, I'm just hearing the fucking Wensler music in my head playing as you keep mentioning the evil Lorax.
Amazing.
How bad can I be?
Yeah, and then we get a montage of Sera training with Abigail. You're gonna need a montage. Abigail will quip sort of that evening as Sera is left alone, left alone in her, as there's plans being made to the bar, and they're like, whoa, hold on, maybe we should do some stuff first, real quick, type thing. Maybe we should rest this night. You know, it all comes together. Like if Cass's Gehenna visions initially pulled him to that bar, as it is communicated in so many terms between, you know, some like, you know, like clips and flashes on the TV screen, or Cass's own personal murmurs that sometimes sound a little bit like Scott or Ben Sahar to fill in the gaps or whatever. Weirdly, again, like some seance shit. It, in those sort of ways that there is like subtextual puzzle pieces put together. I don't know how much Cass has talked about Gehenna, and maybe I can hand the microphone over to Cass for this, as the coterie begins to split up for the evening, and we get little disjointed clips of what happens as, you know, we get our action montage with Sera and stuff like that. Maybe Cass talks a little bit of what brought him to Milwaukee.
The comet brought me here, heralding war to end all wars.
And we can call it there. Cass saw a comet over Milwaukee. The same comet folks saw before the Week of Nightmares, or during the Week of Nightmares. Only some folks. Laszlo saw the comet, by the way. There's radio records of it. Thank you so much for joining us, Joe. Thank you all for playing this evening. We will see you next week at the same vampire time, same vampire place, live on Twitch.